Alright, so while cleaning my room, I'm going to be talking politics. Yep. Mm-hmm. Wow, awesome. Alright, more specifically, I'm going to be talking about how my political views have evolved over time. Because they've evolved quite a bit. And I'm sorry for the bad lighting and, all of that. I'm not a professional at this. Alright? So, yeah. Don't get too mad if it's not really high quality, if the audio sucks. I said don't get mad. Don't get mad. Good. Anyway, and it's also going to be getting some, I guess, guilt. It's not really guilt, it's just a little bit of embarrassment of bad political beliefs that I've had in the past, or what I now believe to be flawed political beliefs. Um, there was a time that's I feel pretty ashamed of. People might be like, "Oh, just like a liberal to be ashamed of themselves," and it's like, um, more ashamed of what I almost became. Um, but yeah, so it's all really the first sort of political beliefs I remember having, and this one has changed a lot. Is the first political belief I remember having is "Boo Obama," which now I actually have done kind of a 180 on it, and I now believe that Obama is the best president in my lifetime. Not the best president ever, mind you, but the best president in my lifetime. Um, because he's not Trump or Biden. Basically, that that's starting off with that. He's not Trump or Biden, and he's a man that who can recognize his mistakes and fix them. That's what he did. At least that's what I believe he did in his second term. Is fix many of the mistakes that he made in his first term. I've been learning. I mean, I was really young. I was in third grade when Trump first got elected president. Um, and so I was young at the time and politically ignorant. But I'm learning more about, you know, his term, how he was a little too extreme on the climate stuff in his first term. Because yes, I do believe that fossil fuels. We should eventually wean ourselves off of fossil fuels, but it's needs to be a more gradual process. We can't do it instantly. We can't do it as fast paced as some people might want it to be. And Obama tried to do it a bit too fast paced in his first term, and he kind of scaled back on that. And some of the and yeah, some of the mistakes he's made in his first term, I do believe he made an effort to fix in his second term, and I think that's an admirable trait in a president. Um, and So yeah, my beliefs about Obama have changed a lot, and my beliefs about Obama then were basically simply because my grandparents didn't like him. My grandparents are Republican to the core. Um, yeah. Um, and yeah. All right. Now going into and that kind of started the like I don't know how many year long, but you know, in elementary school I was well, if they're a Democrat, they must be bad, which isn't necessarily true. Um, but going into third grade, all right, Trump's successful presidential campaign. Um, one reason I supported Trump, well, as much as a third grader can, which is just saying, yeah, I hope Trump wins. Um, one of the reasons was, again, because, I didn't know really my parents and what my parents thought about Obama, or my stepmother, who she's evil. Um, but not because of her political beliefs, um, because of the things, that she's done. But we're not talking about that. Um, but I only really knew what my grandparents thought about Obama. But during Trump's first presidential campaign, my family had a rare moment of being unanimous in who they supported. My entire family voted for Trump, which is rare for my whole family to support the same candidate. Um, my stepmother, she wasn't a citizen back then, so she couldn't vote. But if she was, I'm pretty sure she would have voted for Trump. Um, she's a Belgian immigrant, um, a legal immigrant. She got her citizenship. I forget when. Um, and she's no longer my stepmother. Uh, she was My dad divorced her and kicked her out of the house when I started my freshman year in high school, which was good because that's also actually, because then kind of a year later I get my first job, and that wouldn't have been possible if she was still in the house. I would have been fired pretty quickly for not showing up to work because my stepmother would probably been like, "No, you got punishment chores to do here. You're not going to work." Anyway, enough about that. Enough about my stepmother. This is not a vent session on her. Um, but yeah, going back to 2016, another reason why I supported Trump was because I was basically in my mind, well, Hillary wants to take away everyone's guns, and I sleep better at night knowing that my mother has a gun. So if she gets elected, I'm not going to be able to sleep. And maybe we'll get attacked, but more importantly, I won't be able to sleep. So yeah. And looking back, again, my family is unanimous. They're divided on because most of my family really hates Trump now, but they still are. My entire family is still unanimous in the fact that they're glad that Hillary didn't win. All right. Um, and I hate Trump as well. Just putting that out there. Hopefully, I don't get put in some camp for saying that, because I firmly believe that that's where this country's heading. And I don't like it. And then we come to Biden's, and I was really politically ignorant from then on because I was worried about other things. Then we get to Biden's election, and I throughout the election I was hoping Trump would win because I was still on my I don't trust Democrats kick there. But then some stuff started coming out about after Biden's election. Some stuff started coming out about Trump. I learned about January 6th, and further down the line, I learned more about January 6th, and that's when I really started to dislike Trump, and I believe he's a traitor, and not just to the American ideals, but to the country itself. I believe he's an insurrectionist and all that. But and that's when I started, while not being LGBTQ myself, in middle school, that started to be the majority of my friend group because I was and still am a weird kid. And, no matter what your view on it, the LGBTQ crowd is usually a bunch of weirdos. Maybe not necessarily for being LGBTQ, but they're a bunch of weirdos. So that was a place where I felt like, I could be myself. Even though I was really the only heterosexual, cisgender white guy there. And that shaped my views on LGBTQ from being ignorant, kind of, just not caring to having with a alongside the having a I think you should be allowed to be gay alongside my I don't care if you're gay born of ignorance and not being around a whole lot of gay people. Um, I because no one really talked about the LGBTQ community when I was in elementary school. No one really talked about gay people, like my family didn't, and um, the times that I went to church, it wasn't brought up. And for some of elementary school, I went to a Methodist church, and then stopped going to church because it just kind of stopped, and I also started becoming more atheistic. Um, and um, my views on the LGBTQ community started off with a I don't know a whole lot, and so like I know nothing about this group, and they haven't done anything wrong to me, so okay. And then it turned into, when I became more politically aware, it turned into, yeah, they still haven't done anything wrong to me, and I still don't care whether or not someone's gay, but I do believe that it is wrong for the state to try to stop them from being gay. I do believe that they should have the right to choose whatever romantic or sexual whatever gender of romantic or sexual partner that they want. That anything between two consenting adults is okay. Um, but coinciding with that was probably some of my most shameful beliefs, because around that time I also got in my head the whole, well, if you're this I also got in my head the fear of, DEI hiring and accepting into schools and all that, and the scholarships based on diversity. My opinions on that are different now because I am more aware of the struggles that those people face and the fact that I don't have to deal with those struggles. All right, if you set my political beliefs aside, I am the favorite of society. All right, I'm a cisgender heterosexual white guy. All right, I don't have any of the inherent disadvantages that people might have based on identity, based on the things that they can't control. I mean, yes, I do have two mental disorders, but I'm relatively high functioning on that, so I'm lucky. And I became more aware of the struggles that these people still face, and so I kind of grew out of the whole, you know, um, I brought myself out of the white persecution complex before I could go further into it, which I'm glad, but I'm ashamed that I started kind of stepping into that. That was the main point of this video, is what I almost became. Um, and it's shameful what I almost became. And this video is long enough by now. So yeah, I'm gonna end it here, and there'll probably be more on this later. More yap sessions later.